Welcome to my daily TI meta recap video series where you guessed it, we're gonna be looking at the TI meta and how it's developing throughout the tournament. In each video, which is gonna be coming out every day, we're gonna go over heroes with surprising pick rate, surprising ban rate, or surprising win rate. And obviously surprising here can either mean unexpectedly high or unexpectedly low. Also, we're going to be taking a look at a couple of games as specific examples of picks or drafts that I thought personally are either really bad or really good, and obviously going over why. And lastly, some personal predictions from me on what picks are going to become more common and what picks are going to become less common as the tournament develops and teams see strategies from each other. So here we have, thanks to the above, a very nice table of all the picks. So first one, surprisingly high pick rate, Wraith King. He's been taken in 20 games, the most picked hero so far, and also subsequently banned quite a bit. Now the hero only has a 35% win rate. A low percent win rate is pretty common for a hero that gets picked a lot, especially he's getting first picked a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean the hero is bad. It's just filling this kind of a safe comfort pick that teams are liking right now. It's, you know, it gives your team decent push and a stun and initiation, and of course the reincarnation is quite effective against a lot of AoE ultimates. And there's like a bunch of heroes that you don't really want to pick into a Wraith King, like let's say Void. You know, you're gonna chrono and you can only kill him once and then he comes back, there's no chrono, so heavily cooldown reliant heroes, not very good against Wraith King. Biggest reason that he's more popular now than before, I would say, is the stun mana cost change. Basically the cooldown is higher on the stun early levels, but the mana cost is lower, and as a result you can actually cast a lot more stuns in the laning stage. You know, even with just one mango, it will be like 3 stuns before, and now it's like 5, so that's kind of the big deal. And of course the skeletons, people realize like they're very good at pushing. Of course they get killed easily, but if you just want to fight, you know, Wraith King, it's a massive increase to your pushing power. A surprising hero here is the NYX Assassin. Very high win rate, and also, to be honest, pretty unexpectedly high pick rate. He's been picked in 7 games and he won 6 of them, so this is really impressive. Now obviously previous patch NYX was popular, it was the roamer patch, and heroes like NYX, Sand King, Dusk, Clockwork, they were really dominating games. It was all about the roam and they would be able to kill every lane, so it made sense, you know, the NYX was strong then too. But then those roamers got nerfed, you barely see those heroes anymore, and for NYX to be so popular now is quite surprising to me, because he's not a particularly strong dual lane hero. Don't get me wrong, he's not bad, but he's not a hero like, wow, we have a NYX support, this is an easy lane. You definitely don't say that. It is worth pointing out that in let's say, so he was played in 7 games, he won 6 of them, and in 4 of the 6 that he won, he was against the Pugna. So obviously, you know, NYX is very good against Pugna. It's the highest int growth hero in the game, very susceptible to mana burn. Pugna is playable against NYX though, and you know, that's not to say that it's an auto win, but it just makes the game a lot easier. And it's also quite weird that this one game Secret actually picked up Pugna and Necro after the NYX. The only game that NYX lost was Serenity against Secret, and you know, here they actually responded more appropriately with first pick Tiny. Obviously Tiny doesn't really care about NYX and he has a lot of damage, has a very easy time killing him, and then the rest of the heroes, bit of a physical damage threat despite the first pick Necro, Avenge and a TA. NYX is not very good against TA and doesn't really deal well with heavy minus armor, because he counts on, you know, being able to reflect chunks of damage from spells to stay alive, you know, stun people. But if you're just like to right clicks, that's really hard to deal with for a NYX. Also TAs, not TA Tiny, don't really care that much about the mana burn. They cannot really get caught out and bursted by the NYX, so it makes sense that they're good against NYX. And let's take a look at, probably it's more interesting, the 2 games that NYX was picked not against the Pugna. It was TNC versus Vici. So here the NYX was picked 7th after the ET. Very nice hero against ET, because you can simply walk into the spirit, you know, with Carapace active and stun the ET wherever he is, also makes it very easy to interrupt the Echo Stomp this way. And lastly, ET wants to sit back, and what's good against him is our heroes that, you know, go in and actually scout him out. Because ET, once again, it's all about the Echo Stomp. If you cancel the Stomp, his ult is also gonna be, you know, likely not to hit, and the hero just doesn't do that much. So very nice pick. Also good against Weaver, good at hunting the Weaver. 2 AoE stuns that can hit the Weaver even if he's invis. So great game for it. And Pain Gaming against Newbie. This one is maybe the most surprising. There's the first pick Shadow Demon. NYX obviously pretty decent against Shadow Demon, not just because he's an in hero, but it's a defensive support that sits back. So the NYX being able to scout him out and allowing his team to get on top of the Shadow Demon also really helps. But with that being said, Weaver is also pretty much the best hero against Shadow Demon for similar reasons. So it was literally the NYX that won this game. A bit tough to say, but it looks like teams are just liking the NYX because he discourages a lot of intelligence hero picks, and you know, the few times that enemy teams went ahead and did it anyway, they also end up losing. But the hero is just pretty solid overall, so I can kind of see it. It's the only hero in the game that has long duration invis as well as an AoE stun, or a stun, any stun kind for that matter. The only one that's kind of similar is Sand King, but you know, Sandstorm, it's a very short invis, so it doesn't really count. But this is the only hero that can, you know, scout people out, invis, like Ricky, Bounty, Treant style, but actually also have the stun to set them up afterwards. Next up, Weaver. Now, this hero has been picked or banned in 95% of games, by far the most contested hero, followed closely by Enchantress, which, you know, Enchantress is not that surprising. Everyone knows how annoying it is to play against Ench, and there's very few heroes that, you know, can even really do anything against her. Now, Weaver is a bit similar, and he has been dominating pubs, especially at high MR, for quite a while now, so it's not so surprising that he's strong, but it is a little bit surprising, you know, just how highly teams value him. What you want against the Weaver obviously is basically a lot of stuns, so that you can keep him locked down and, you know, make it not so easy for him to kind of just do whatever he wants. If you have a lot of AoE stuns, you just chain stun him and he can't ulti. You can say that counts any hero, but it counts Weaver especially because Weaver, despite being rather squishy, he does need to get up really close, so he's always going to be in range of stuns, and he's really relying on that ult to get out. Still, there aren't that many heroes with, you know, massive amounts of AoE stuns, and, you know, the fact that you have to pick those just because there's a Weaver, and it's not really guaranteed to deal with him either. Add on top of all that he's a very strong laner, he's very strong in dual lanes, and there's also a bunch of heroes which are quite strong and just really difficult to play against the Weaver. And these are basically what are now popular, these backline squishy supports and or cores that want to, you know, sit back. They do crazy damage with their spells from a long range, but they don't really have a lot of lockdown. So, you know, I'm talking about Pugna, I'm talking about Zeus, Phoenix, Winter Wyvern, and, you know, Weaver is just perfect hero to get on top of these and, you know, kill them. They can't really stun him, they can't really survive, so then they have to run to their team, jeopardizes their positioning, etc. And another one is Wisp. Obviously Wisp doesn't deal crazy damage per se, but he heals a lot, so it's a similar kind of impact. Weaver, again, one of the best heroes against Wisp. So when he does get picked though, 16 games, he only has a 50% win rate, so not that high, but again, it's a hero that's being picked first phase, usually, even straight up first picked. So for a hero, you know, to always be taken in the first phase and still have a 50% win rate, that speaks quite a bit. It's quite impressive. Again, comparing him to the Wraith King, who's also being picked a lot, and only sports a 35% win rate. That should go to show that the Weaver really is very powerful, and it's one of the only agi, kind of like, not very traditional, but kind of late game agi right click carry that's still sort of viable, you know, in this meta of crazy laning early game aggression. All the Terrorblades and the Juggernauts and that kind of stuff the more greedy farming oriented picks are just not so viable and a lot harder to make work, whereas a Weaver you can really just put him anywhere. In fact, he's also not a bad quote-unquote offlaner. It's not really offlane now, and there's always a support, but you know, position 3 Weaver on the offlane with a support, that it also works really well. Very, very flexible pick, and just denies a lot of heroes and just tough to play against in general. So expect to see more Weaver throughout the tournament, although teams will get more used to playing against him. And one hero that is really good against Weaver is Zeus. Even though he's squishy and Weaver can kill him, the true sight makes Weaver's life a lot harder. We do see here that Weaver won against Zeus in 2 games, but that's a very low sample size and it doesn't say that much. Other heroes that are good against Weaver, just heavy chain stun, heavy AoE disable. We can see here Void, perfect answer to both Weaver and Storm. So, or here we see VGJ Storm. They went for Wraith King, Lion, a lot of arrow follow up, Willow, just a lot of control, and that's generally what you want against the Weaver. And when you see games where there's not that many stuns, yeah, the Weaver obviously can run over the team. Like here, there's a Venge stun, there's a Monkey stun, that's about it. So it's a pretty easy game for a Weaver. And this is kind of an easy way to kind of look at it and determine if the Weaver is gonna have a good game or not. The amount of disables, pretty much. Next up is Tiny. Now this hero has been picked 15 times, banned 21 times, the 3rd most contested hero, picked or banned in 90% of games, and he has an astonishingly low 26% win rate. It's pretty interesting to say the least. Let's take a look at the Tiny games. Now the thing with Tiny is he is a strong laner. He has the similar nuking power that he used to have. He is quite tanky in the early game, but what teams don't entirely seem to be realizing is that he drops off like a rock. He, pun not intended, he is just so bad in the late game. He can be the top net worth hero, he can be doing great, but he just needs so many items on Tiny to even function as a hero. Like you need a blink to even be able to like get in position or catch anyone because of your astonishing low movement speed. You need mana regen items because your int is very low, and especially late game when you get the triple toss, like you need the mana regen to keep it going. 3 cooldown, like it all adds up. Any kind of mana burn makes your life so hard as a Tiny. You need attack speed because again the hero has no attack speed whatsoever, so to actually deal damage you need attack speed. That's also why we see Echo Sabers and stuff. And so you kind of need a Shadow Blade too, because Blink doesn't really cut it in the late game. Just with the Blink it's still gonna be tough for you to get on top of the right target to actually close the gap. You're gonna be getting scouted, your Blink is gonna be getting cancelled, so the combination of Blink and Shadow Blade is really necessary. And of course you still need a BKB as any melee core that just goes in, because without a BKB you're gonna get controlled. Status resistance is a nice perk, but it doesn't really help you from getting kited. And so you see, like, you need attack speed, you need mobility, you need BKB, you need mana regen, you need so many items, and even when you have them, it's not like you're gonna be suddenly solo killing the whole team. Yeah, you have great burst, yeah, you can, insta kill one guy throughout most of the game, but the moment Aeon Discs come out, the moment saves, the moment people just get tankier in general, the hero really falls off in usefulness. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of these games. Tiny just dominates in the beginning, but at some point the enemy heroes just get their items up, and then the team with Tiny is stuck with a hero that just doesn't really offer enough in these late game fights, and is just controlled and dealt with and kited so easily. And let's take a look at the few games that Tiny actually won. So I'm gonna have to scroll quite a bit here, it seems. So Mineski versus Windstrike. There is a lot of ways for a lot of buffs on Tiny's team, and he's also not really the main core. Both Bloodseeker and Wraith King are arguably much better scaling heroes than the Tiny. There's also two great backline supports, especially Wyvern scales very well into the late game. And if I look at Winstrike's lineup, very right-click oriented, physical damage oriented, I would say the win has a lot more to do with the Wyvern than with Tiny. EG versus IG. I actually watched this game, so this was kind of a stomp. Not that short of a game, 34 minutes, but still. And again, I would say it's a lot more credit to the Bar and the Klinks finding pickoffs together, and Phoenix and the Enigma winning team fights. And again, the Tiny was just kind of there doing his thing, but Tiny is hardly the reason that they actually won. Once again, similar story here. In this case, it was an offlane Tiny, but still, it's kind of the TA show. TA is the last pick, doesn't have a great answer on the enemy team. And yep, Tiny losing. Okay, this was a very interesting game. Secret versus Serenity. I didn't watch that. Serenity played quite well. They had, like, between the Tiny, the Lina, and the NYX, 3 AoE stuns. They were owning fights, chaining those stuns really nicely, getting crazy combos. But end of the day, this was a just horrible secret draft. I'll get into that later. And again, it's difficult to really credit Tiny with this win. And that's actually it. These are the only games that Tiny won. And again, I think teams need to reevaluate it. The hero feels really nice. It feels nice to have. Yeah, he can solo kill, but it just really falls off in usefulness. It kind of reminds me of the old Ursa. Obviously not no longer the case, because Ursa is quite a beast, even in the late game nowadays. But on to the next hero. So the last hero we're going to be looking at in particular is Pugna. Now, this hero is a bit of a soft spot for me because I really enjoy playing it, and I played it a lot. And to see Pugna lose 6 out of 7 games, pretty shocking to me, because I still see the hero as one of the best right now. And I have also watched a lot of the Pugna games, and I think a lot of the reasons for why the Pugna lost were not really related to issues with the hero itself, rather issues to with how the teams were running it. So one common theme is that a lot of players are not valuing the Etherlens enough. Etherlens is a really important item for Pugna, and it's basically the difference between being able to blast towers outside of the range of both attack and vision range, and not being able to do that. And obviously Pugna is all about pushing towers, so not having the lens really kind of limits the main purpose of the hero. It's also a cheap item and gives great stats. I saw, for example, Fata rushing Aeon Disc just to stay alive, but again, having a lens allows you to keep your distance better, and it's more likely to help you stay alive than an Aeon Disc. Not to mention, it just makes your hero a lot more useful overall. And I saw some builds from, I believe it was OG, fucking mad. He went for Force Staff, he went for Dagon. That's another theme, like a lot of Pugnas going for Dagon. It feels really nice to be able to burst heroes, but you're spending, especially if you upgrade to Dagon, you're spending so much money on an item that just really falls off in effectiveness. Like, if you're not killing someone with a level 1 Dagon, in the come late game, you're also not gonna kill them with a level 5 Dagon most of the time, unless there's other Amplify involved. So really, you're spending, like, upgrading Dagon is spending so much money on an item that, okay, it nukes someone, it brings them low HP, but the rest of your spells can also do that. Items like Sight of Ice, obviously, no need to explain that it has a massive impact. Aghanim's is, even if you want damage, just kind of a better version of Dagon, in my view, because it allows you to ulti non-stop. You can switch targets when ulting. There is no cooldown, obviously, so even if it gets cancelled, it just allows you to basically ulti non-stop for damage, and throughout the team fight ends up being a lot more damage than Dagon would be. And another item is Meteor Hammer. It's good on any hero that buys Lens. So again, Pugna is all about pushing towers. Meteor Hammer is quite cheap, and it makes your tower push that much stronger. So it's pretty weird for me that teams are kind of playing Pugna in a way that it's not really what the hero is about. And to me, that's also a big part of the reason why he has had such a horrible win rate so far. Worth noting that at least they're pairing it with kind of appropriate heroes. For example, we see a lot of Pugna with Shaker, this is a nice combination because Shaker really benefits from the early towers, so he can get a quick blink. We're also seeing a lot of Pugna with Crystal Maiden. Again, obviously great combo because Pugna with the Crystal Maiden aura just is really enabled. Like, he farms a lot faster, he pushes a lot faster, like not that much more to say about it. As for teams picking against Pugna, there's like a lot of NYX. It does make the Pugna a bit more difficult to play, but it's really not the hugest issue. If anything, like the real heroes that Pugna struggles against mostly are Weaver, because Weaver gets on top of you, and even though you can decrypt yourself, the bug still stays, and you can never really catch the Weaver until you have a Hex later on, so that's quite tough to deal with. And another one is PL. You can win the lane against PL, but there comes a point when he gets farmed, you just can't really touch him, and the blast is not enough to bring illusions that low. So yeah, I would like to see teams kind of change their approach, how they're playing this Pugna. It should be a core, and you want to pick it with support that can set up kills, that has a stun. Pugna NYX, Pugna Shaker, like we mentioned, teams are already doing, but Pugna Spearbreaker, for example, is quite great. And yeah, basically stop buying random items and just get a fucking Ether Lens first, because that's really what the hero needs. Also Tranquil Boots, but don't want to turn this into a Pugna guide. But yeah, this is like I mentioned, the hero that I know quite a bit about and have a lot of experience playing, even against pro teams, and some of these teams included. Next up, I'm gonna take a look at two games in specific, which I think there was either a really good or a really bad draft. So we're gonna start with the really bad one, and this one is from Team Secret. So briefly touched upon it earlier. If any of you have seen this game, you kind of already know probably what I'm gonna say. There's the first obvious bit where they first pick Necro and Pugna into NYX. Just very confusing. NYX is good against both of these heroes, and it just makes no sense to go for that. But not just that, for me, even bigger problem, because at least Necro and Pugna are both solid heroes in this patch, and they do a lot, even if they're somewhat countered. For me, an even bigger problem is this support duo that they went with, Rubik Ogre. This is a support duo that was popular a while back in the previous patch, where roaming was more prevalent and Ogre was able to kind of sit mid, win lanes mid and stuff. Even then, the support duo had a very glaring weakness that's just even worse now. Basically, this support duo does very little damage. It also doesn't offer much in terms of team fight. It's not really great in terms of catch either. Rubik's Lift obviously is an instant stun, but it got nerfed so many times. It's not the greatest catch spell anymore, with its reduced duration, reduced cast range. Same with Fire Blast, massive wind up, low cast range. You can't even really consider it a catch. So you have two supports that they just don't really excel in anything. They don't really win lanes. Rubik is a very weak laner. Ogre is a good laner, I'll give him that, but that's about it. So with the support duo, your lanes are not going to be stronger, your team fight is not going to be stronger, your catch is not really that much better, and your damage output is pretty much non-existent from the support duo, which is not good in this patch, because we see the support heroes that are very popular and winning games a lot are heroes like Phoenix, Willow, Winter Wyvern. These support heroes, they deal crazy damage. They can even kill cores because their spells are so strong. And Rubik Ogre is pretty much the complete opposite of that. So it just makes no sense whatsoever. And this last pick, DK, doesn't really fix any of the issues. Generally pick DK when you feel like you really need a stun on your mid and you really need tower push. They don't really need tower push because they have a Pugna. And again, I do agree they need stun initiation, but that's another issue with, like, if you're pick two supports which don't really do a whole lot of anything, but at least they both have stuns, but then you still feel like you need more stun. It's just, yeah, it's not great, let's put it that way. And Team Serenity, the game took 40 minutes, but if anyone actually watched it, like, it was not even close, and they kind of got demolished. Next draft, one that I really liked, was from Newbie this game. Couple things going on here. So they open with the Shadow Demon, and TNC get Weaver Crystal Maiden. Now Weaver Crystal Maiden is like, these are two of the strongest heroes right now. Crystal Maiden, don't have to go too much in depth, it just makes a lot of heroes crazy strong. And like I mentioned, Weaver is by far the best hero against Shadow Demon. It's one of the most advantageous matchups in the game, Weaver against Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon can't really touch the Weaver. The whole point is to slow people with his ult, which doesn't work against Shukuchi, and Weaver just gets on top of him and murders him. So, you know, this first phase, when they get Shadow Demon and TNC get Crystal Maiden Weaver, it looks so good for TNC here. They follow up with the Storm. You know, the Necro pick from Newbie, like, okay, Necro is a good hero, but not particularly good against Weaver or Maiden, so it's not looking great. They follow up with the Storm. Again, Storm with Crystal Maiden aura, just amazing. It's also like Necro and SD cannot touch the Storm. Pretty similar story to Weaver. Then Newbie respond with the Lion. Okay, straightforward, guys, we need actually some hard lockdown. So the Lion comes in. It's a nice idea, but so far it's not looking great, because again, Weaver, Storm, they get locked down by Lion, but they can also just as easily kill and like jump and kill the Lion in a second. Then the Mirana comes in, and this is where actually things are starting to shape up for Newbie. Suddenly, the Shadow Demon that was not able to do anything against those supports, now actually he is, because by disrupting them, he's setting up for an arrow. So suddenly the disruption turns in from a useless spell into, you know, another form of hard lockdown for the Weaver and the Storm, because it's going to be followed up by an arrow. And more importantly, something that's quite underrated about the Mirana is the Invis. Invis, the Moonlight Shadow, it's insanely, ridiculously strong spell. It completely counters heroes that are trying to jump the backlines, because you cannot afford to carry detection on them. Like, yeah, you have to against the Mirana, but if the game goes late, which it didn't, 36 minutes, but if the game goes late, like, imagine you're a Storm, you need all your slots, and imagine if you're forced to have detection in one of your slots, like, that feels so bad. And again, Dust has counters, it can be dispelled. Sentries, you can't just be buying million sentries and dropping them while trying to kill someone. And Gem, if you die, you lose it. Like, there is no legit item answer to the Moonlight Shadow. So you're forced to kind of pick a hero that gives vision if you want to reliably deal with this Moonlight. But, you know, it was an 18 pick Mirana, so they only had one more hero to respond, and they already had, you know, two of their cores, so what can they really take? The heroes that give True Sight against Mirana naturally are basically Zeus is obviously the best one, and then there's also Bloodseeker that's kind of decent. Other than that, you don't have any options, and yeah, neither of them fit into TNC's draft necessarily, so they could have tried with the last pick Bloodseeker. Who knows how the game would have gone, but they didn't. And yeah, I really like the Mirana here, and obviously the Void then really closes it out. Normally your carry is not going to have lockdown, but Void is one of the few carries with a giant, like, literally AoE stun. So suddenly the Weaver and the Storm would look like they had a great game. Now they're having an awful game because there are so many heroes that can catch them. And TNC have the absolute last pick. They go with the Underlord. So they wanted to kind of... This really shows that, you know, their plan from now was to, like, split the map, have this Weaver Storm running around with the CM Aura getting healed by Treant. They're going to be strong, they're going to be killing people, picking them off left and right. Suddenly, they noticed, like, how much lockdown there is, how it's actually going to be not that easy for them to kill people with the Invis and stuff. And now they're kind of backpedaling, and they go for a last pick Underlord. Oh, guys, maybe we should 5-man anyway. But 5-manning with the Storm and a Weaver, it's not really going to work. So I don't like this response from TNC. I think they were in a really tough spot anyway. There's not that much they could have done. But honestly, like, as weird as it would, like, sound and would be, I would have liked to see them just last pick a Zeus off lane and you know, try and go with it. You know, try to stomp the lanes, try to, you know, keep getting the pickoffs anyway, because at least you have the Zeus vision now and it's extra damage. It's easier. You have the wave clear of the Zeus. You have the extra burst. And Zeus is pretty good against these squishy supports, Lion, SD. He's pretty good against Necro, and he's obviously the True Sight counters the Mirana Invis entirely. He's not so great against Void, granted. So again, yeah, I can't say there's a perfect pick, but if I were in TNC shoes, I would have tried that instead of kind of abandoning the initial idea of their pick and then last picking an Underlord to try and salvage things, which obviously it didn't work out. Then there's the ignored heroes. Um, Half of these are not very surprising at all. In particular, Night Stalker and Outward Devourer, I would say these are two of the weakest heroes in this patch. Not much to say there. I mean, both just got completely crushed by nerfs, by the meta, by the heroes that are popular. In fact, one of the most popular heroes right now is Ursa, and OD is one of the best heroes against Ursa, and still you don't see OD. That's just how bad the hero is right now, how trash. Like, he needs so many items, he doesn't win the lane, he's so slow, even when he gets the items, it's still so easy to deal with. Like, the hero is just awful. A couple that I'm surprised aren't picked yet would be Witch Doctor and Jakiro, as well as Doom. All these heroes are, we have seen them a lot even recently. They're quite good in dual lanes, which are the meta, and they offer obviously a lot. They scale well, they lane pretty well, so I would say that's just kind of a coincidence, and we will definitely be seeing them soon. Sniper, a bit more of a niche pick, but I'm sure we're also going to be seeing a lot of Sniper. Puck, Sand King, Slardar, like, again, these heroes are nerfed, where we will see some of them a little bit probably, but again, they're just not very good, and it has to be like a particularly nice game for them to really, like, for a team to go for them. The Agi carries, anti-mage PA, just pretty greedy, weak on the lane, easy to punish, not much to say there. Kind of similar story for CK. He's stronger in the lane, but then even if you do win the lane, it doesn't, which is not, easier said than done with CK. He's a strong laner, but a lot of lane counters, and later on he's just so underwhelming. And again, he needs so many items, cooldown dependent, not a great hero right now. Razor, just got it and doesn't really fit. Like, there's no situation, which the situations you want Razor is like this versus a solo hero, and that's just not really happening now. Any two heroes can just right click a Razor and he's gonna die even if he tries to link. Darkseer, similar story. He kind of thrives from surviving against the tri lane, drawing creeps, drawing attention, blah blah blah. But if you just have a strong dual lane, it's really not that hard to deal with the shells. A bunch of heroes that can dispel or disengage and dodge the shells, etc. So not too surprising that Darkseer is being ignored. Techies will definitely see pulled out. I guess Naga, a bit surprising that we're not seeing Naga. Same with Lich. Have been seeing them quite a bit recently, and they're pretty solid in dual lanes, and they offer quite a bit later on as well. So I would say that's, again, just a coincidence, and we will be seeing more of them soon. Solaric, similar story to the anti-mage and the PA. Dazzle, it's not very surprising because, yeah, he's a support, he's an okay laner, but not great, and he just doesn't offer nearly enough later on compared to other supports. As for the AA is a strong, like, counter pick option. You generally see AA as obviously an answer to stuff like Huskars and Alchemist, and we're seeing a resurgence of Alchemist, so definitely expect to see AA getting picked up more. He's pretty decent in dual lanes if you pair him with, again, Wraith King, one of the most popular heroes, but also Tiny. Any magic damage nuking hero just works so well with the AA Vortex, so we're definitely going to be seeing some AA here to also deal with this, with these Alchemists and the Huskars that inevitably come out. Teams try to cheese their way to some easy wins, especially in the bracket. And lastly, a couple heroes that in my opinion are still being quite underrated, and we're definitely going to be seeing more of as the tournament progresses. First one is going to be Spirit Breaker. I think this hero is the answer to Ursa, and in general just scales quite well. It used to be this hero that becomes useless late game, as he can't, just easy to kill, stuns anyone, but strength heroes got buffed, he stays tanky, he stays relevant, and that charge talent is absolutely insane. There's no way you can, it's just so hard to cancel the charge late game when it's that fast. And 2 BKB piercing stuns, one of them AoE, global range, deals with split push. Like, so many heroes are so hard to play against Spirit Breaker. We've only seen him one game so far, he won. I definitely think we'll be seeing more of him. Another one is Arc Warden. He has been banned 6 times. Teams are kind of scared of him, but it's this hero that's just very, very difficult to play against. And he does so many things. He does so many things that no one else does, like this mischance on buildings. There's no doubt that teams have prepared a couple strats around Arc Warden, and perhaps are holding on to them for the time being because it's just the first day of group stages. And I suppose the third one will be Magnus. Only seen one game of Magnus so far. He lost, but the hero, it's quite good. He's good in dual lanes, and obviously he offers a lot, like this game-winning ult. But apart from that, you have different builds. You can build him tanky. He has a lot of defensive talents. He quickly becomes very, very, very hard to kill. You can even build the classic tanky items on him, team items, you know, Dominator, Crimson, Pipe, whatever, like it works. Also his Ags is a bit underrated. And in general, like there's a lot of things you can do with the Magnus, and it's a hero that just pressures the enemy a lot. One slip up, you get RP'd, you die. He works well with a lot of things, a lot of heroes. A lot of melee heroes get enabled massively by Magnus, so no, I don't think it's going to be a top pick, but I do think we're going to be seeing significantly more of him sometime soon. That was it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, remember to follow, subscribe everywhere, my social media, blah blah. Check out the description, and definitely stay tuned because I'm gonna be releasing a video like this one every single day after TI, updating depending on what happened in the games and letting you know my opinions. Of course, if you have some opinions, let me know in the comments, and I'll be probably considering and talking about and replying in the next video as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.